Hello and welcome to Nightly Scroll. Happy Friday evening to all of you. Thank you for joining me. Of course, if you are watching right now on X or Facebook, this is your warning to come on over to Rumble because you're only going to get a little bit of the show and you're going to want to see all of the interview that I have on deck for you tonight. So come on over to rumble.com/Hayley. That'll bring you to the Bongino Report channel. That is the only place you can watch Nightly Scroll in full. Of course, you can catch it later on at your leisure. If you can't catch us right at 6, I get it. Or you can listen on your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Just make sure wherever you watch this show, leave a nice review, leave 5 stars, like everything, touch all the buttons. It all helps. So thank you for joining me tonight. Quick ad break before we get started on tonight's interview. First up is Genucel. Do you wish that double chin would just disappear? Newsflash, ladies and gentlemen, people look at your jawline and it simply tells your age. Introducing the brand new Genucel Skincare Neckline Lift with dual peptide and MDL technology, Genucel's most advanced technology ever. It could not only help tighten the saggy skin around the neck and chin, but it could help plump the lipophilic layers of your skin to help contour and define your neckline within minutes. Using peptides and metolactones together for the first time, it works amazingly well and fast, and many see results getting better every day. With Genucel's MDL technology, the brand new neckline lift specifically targets the delicate skin on the neck area to help you see tight, healthy, younger-looking skin. You will see your mirror smile back at you, or 100% of your money back, no questions asked, with their 120-day money-back guarantee. Order now, and the Genucel immediate effects for noticeable results in just minutes with your neckline lift essentials package. And right now, save over 70% off during this limited time introductory offer. No double chin and no turkey neck, no sagging neckline, because nobody needs to know your age. Genucel.com/scroll, Genucel.com/scroll. Order now and get free priority shipping. Go to Genucel.com/scroll. That is Genucel.com/scroll. Also want to tell you about our friends at Birch Gold. I am a big fan of personal responsibility, and when it comes to your finances and taking care of your savings, it is up to you, not big government. That is why I'm excited for my new sponsor, Birch Gold Group. Birch Gold has been a big partner of Silverlock for a long time, and they believe one of the best ways to hedge against inflation and global insecurity is by owning physical gold. And Birch Gold makes diversifying easy. They will help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold, and you can do it all with no additional money out of pocket. Plus, now through Veterans Day, for every $5,000 purchase from Birch Gold Group, they will send you a free patriotic silver round that commemorates the Gadsden and American flags. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, Birch Gold can help you too. Text the word scroll to the number 989898 for a free info kit and to claim your eligibility for free silver with qualifying purchase by Veterans Day. Again, text scroll to 989898. Do it today. Message and data rates apply. All right, well, my guest tonight frequently braves the streets of New York City to get inside the heads of the left, to challenge their way of thinking, especially when it comes to the issue of abortion. And unfortunately for her, she's come face to face with the intolerant left protesters who choose violence over communicating and understanding. Look what happened to her just last year. Watch.
Children that have been abused.
That's not the point. What I'm saying.
That's really
horrible. So she was assaulted for just asking the questions that liberal couldn't answer. And yes, in deep blue New York, activist DA Alvin Bragg let that assailant off the hook. So we're going to get into updates on her assault case and go inside Lawless New York City and much more with journalist and activist Savannah Craven Antao on tonight's episode of Nightly Scroll. Savannah, thank you so much for being here. I've followed you on Instagram for a very long time, and I saw your Man on the Street videos, which we're going to get into, of course. And I always appreciated your pro-life views. I will tell you, when I was first kind of dipping my toe into politics, I always kind of thought like, oh, well, I don't like big government, so, whatever. And in working at Fox and at Newsmax, I was tasked with doing a lot of research on abortion because for segments and whatnot. I was writing segments for hosts and helping them with research and whatnot. And I found that the more research you do, the more conservative you come. And I felt that way with the pro-life movement and abortion. The more I researched this, the more pro-life I became. And I then saw your content on, maybe it was TikTok or Instagram. So I followed you ever since, and I really do appreciate it. So I want to get into your pro-life views and your conservative views. How did that all start for you?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Well, I grew up conservative and I was also raised Catholic. So I had very pro-life views, pro-America views. I was raised by my mother, and she told me from the very beginning, as long as I could understand kind of politics and what was going on in the news, that you can have whatever opinion you want, but you have to be able to back it up with facts. And when you choose facts, you're going to be going to the right side, the more conservative side, right?
100%.
And going through high school, abortion, politics, I mean, it was 2015, 2016. It wasn't as big as it is now. You weren't forced to have to take a side. That's not really what 15, 16-year-olds talked about at the time. But I remember when my school had a mock election for between Hillary and Trump in 2016. And even with my school having a large majority of Hispanic students, many of their parents being illegal, many of their grandparents being illegal immigrants, Trump actually won the mock election. And then he goes on to win the actual election. And I think maybe some people voted for him because, they were being silly. But they used to say he hates Mexicans, right? That he's racist. And yet he won this mock election. He goes to win the actual election. And so in that moment, I started to become a bit more interested in politics because I knew the next election in 2020 was going to be my first time that I could actually vote and make an impact. I moved to New York City when I was 17. And although I had known a little bit about Democrats and leftism, what I experienced was something I could have never expected. I was forced to share the restroom with a full-blown male who just says he's a female, and I had to see his private parts while changing for ballet class at my musical theater conservatory here in the city. And at the time, these words, transphobic, homophobic was a word, of course, but this trans movement had not yet come into the picture as big as it is now. And I remember asking a couple of my friends, my classmates, who I knew were uncomfortable as I was after experiencing this. And they said, no, we can't say anything because we'll be labeled as anti-trans. And that's the reality today, is that if you don't believe in this ideology, this mental illness that is gender dysphoria, you're labeled with things. You have the chance to lose your job. You have the risk of possibly being completely canceled. And when COVID hit, I decided, I'm going to have to go back to South Carolina where I grew up. The city shut down. Broadway did not seem within reach at all. And my dreams seemed to be crushed. But my mom told me you have to find your tribe. And that's what led me to attending my first Turning Point USA event in 2020. And yeah, the rest is history.
Well, it changed everything for you because you were in New York City for this musical theater program, and maybe that's what you thought you were meant to do, but you've really found your stride doing man on the street interviews and activism and independent journalism. So how did you get started in that?
Yes. I first started speaking out online just against Planned Parenthood, the abortion industry. I was very fascinated by all of the craziness with the Black Lives Matter movement. And after finding out that the co-founder of Black Lives Matter was best friends with Cecile Richards, who is now deceased, but she's a former Planned Parenthood president. And Planned Parenthood is the number one killer of Black people. So how can you be screaming BLM and then supporting the number one killer of our own people,
right?
Our innocent people, little Black babies in the womb? And I just simply called out this hypocrisy online. And I was met with so much racism from my classmates, people calling me a sellout, that I'm an Uncle Tom dancing for the white man, and that I was trying to get white people to like me. And I'm sure you're the same as me in this, is like, I don't care what color you are. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I don't
Right.
choose my friends based on their skin color. And so that was my first personal experience with just insanity and intolerance from the left. And of course, it was a little scary at the time because I didn't really have a lot of people around me to look up to, nobody really encouraging me. I even had a good friend of mine saying that, I love what you're speaking for, but I can't be associated with you. You're too outspoken. And that really hurt.
Yeah,
and
it
so
is so hurtful.
Yes. I continued and I said, you know what? Charlie's doing it. There's all these people out here. Candace Owens was a big inspiration to me. And I said, if they can do it, I can do it too. And I started getting involved with the Man on the Street stuff. I worked with live action for a little bit as a contractor in 2022 and with Blexit on the HBCU tours. And that's where I really found the love of, okay, wow, when I go to these people, when I actually am face to face to them, that's where I can start the real conversations. That's where I can really change minds. Because on the internet, nobody really treats each other as real human beings. You're behind a username. You're an individual or a creature behind a screen. But in reality, we are all human beings. As much as people troll online, we're all human beings with feelings. And the way that we're going to move forward as a country and as humanity is with one-on-one conversations in person.
Absolutely. And you're very brave to do it in the belly of the beast in New York City where you're living. So what is that experience like, being a conservative, a Catholic, being pro-life, and having to, you have all the facts on your side to argue your point, but you're met with people who are very different from you. They disagree with you. So how do you change those hearts and minds?
Sure. Well, living in the city, my circle is very small. You'd be surprised at how many conservative Catholics there are in the city, but there's not a lot of outspoken conservative Catholics. A lot of them work normal jobs, 9-to-5s, jobs that they've worked very hard to be in, but they cannot share their political opinions. So they support me from afar. But I have my amazing husband who's not only my husband, but my cameraman, my built-in best friend, built-in bodyguard. And so we spent a lot of time together and I'm very grateful for him.
Was he your bodyguard before you were married? How did you meet?
I guess so. Oh, no. We actually met on a cruise ship and I was on vacation. He was working on the cruise ship. He's from India. And we went through the long and expensive process of getting him here legally. So it is possible. To all the liberals watching this.
And it's possible within, the last 3 years, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you have your security guard. And I'm going to ask you later on, because we're going to get into kind of the assault that happened and whether or not this is going to kind of change the way that you go about doing this. But when you try to confront these people, in that video that I just played in the intro there, you were having a conversation about what? And it was about abortion. And then what happened?
Yes. I was out on the street. At the time, I was contracted with Live Action doing Planned Parenthood efforts, which we were using the statistics from their 2023 to 2024 annual report. And the point of the interviews was to ask people how much they really know about Planned Parenthood versus the reality of what they do. And the fact is that every single year, their abortions are going up, and all of the, helpful services like cancer screenings, providing preventative, pregnancy prevention services are going down. And so it makes you question, are they pro-choice? Are they trying to avoid a woman getting to abortion? Or are they just really selling abortion? And you and I both know the answer to that. And it was like any other day, right? I mean, my assailant, she walks up to me and she actually gave me a compliment. You can see in the video, she was very excited to be on the video. And about 20 minutes into the conversation, things started to get a little bit heated, as it does, because this is a very difficult topic to talk about. Abortion is something that divides our country at the moment, and it's not easy to talk about, whether you support it or you don't.
Well,
and this is a woman.
getting someone to talk to you for 20 minutes in New York City is also an amazing feat. So, wow, you must be very compelling, which seems to be the case. So then she started, the conversation took a turn, right?
Right. Yes. So she made an outrageous statement saying that she thinks it would be better if children in foster care would be aborted rather than born because they might go through trauma. And she started saying horrible things about Christianity as well, mocking my faith. She started calling me names. And I said, well, at least I'm not the one who said we should kill babies in foster care, because that's what she straight up said. I asked her that question and she said, why not? And in that moment, she said, that's not the point. And she decided to just deck me in the face, first, right in the middle of my forehead, and second, with her iPhone, actually, that caused a big gash in my forehead.
So did she punch you?
Yes. She punched me and then she hit me with her phone in my eyebrow, actually, not my forehead, my eyebrow, that caused a gash. And I had to get stitches and a tetanus shot and went to the hospital.
Oh my gosh. So what was going through your head when this happened, when she's punching you? I mean, has anything like this ever happened to you before? I'm sure you've had conversations where they've gotten tense, but what were you thinking?
Well, in that moment, I mean, I kind of felt like a cartoon character that had just been knocked out. My world was spinning. I couldn't figure out if I was really okay or if I was imagining that I was okay.
Right.
Thankfully, I did not fall onto the concrete, and I was able to, hold myself up. But I just was only concerned about getting away from her in that moment, because if she's going to do that, she's probably going to come back for more. And I'm not a fighter, okay?
Yeah.
I'm a lover, not a fighter. And so I could not take on this woman. And although I'm not a small, super small person, this woman was much larger than I am. So my husband, he was behind the camera. He was able to get her away, thankfully. And my world was just rocked. I mean, all I was thinking of, people need to know that this happened. I'm not just going to let this go. This is
Right.
insane. And it's going to continue to happen if we ignore it and if we just let it go.
Of course. I'm so glad that you posted this video, because it just exposes how violent the left really is. And they get violent when they can't answer the question. I mean, that's what we're seeing, not just in your videos, but a lot of these man on the street videos that I see, they come up, people are asking, why are you protesting today? And it's just such an, innocent, basic question. And it gets these people so riled up because they can't answer. What are you here protesting? Well, and then you just like push them on little things that they should know. Like, oh, well, Trump's bad. Well, why? Why do you think Trump's bad? Well, he's a criminal. Well, okay, well, explain that. Explain what he's doing. And then they can't. And then they get violent or they walk away. So is there a pattern that you're seeing with the people that come to talk to you where they just don't have the facts on their side?
Almost always. I'm actually shocked when somebody decides to stay longer than 30 seconds to a minute and actually try and explain their side. And it is refreshing. I wish it happened more often, but just like you said, this is why we kind of think maybe these people are paid, because they're sent out to these events. They have these vests. They sort of all look the same. Especially in New York City, I noticed the same exact people at these protests over and over and over again. And you just think like, dang, do you just have every Saturday off? You have a random Tuesday off? Like, this is really interesting. It's not cheap to live in the city. You got to have a good job. And so they have no idea why they're out there. You ask them a simple question, or, I mean, God forbid you sort of challenge their opinion. That is when they start with the insults, and then it can go as far as to even them putting your hands on you, assaulting you, and as we've seen recently, killing you.
Right. No, of course. It's horrible. And so you were badly hurt. You had $3,000 in medical bills. So tell me what happened in the moments after the assault. I'm sure you got the medical attention that you needed, but did you also press charges? What was the timeline there?
Yes, I was sent to the hospital. As I said, I finally got my stitches after sitting in the emergency room for 4 hours in excruciating pain in my head. And after that, I, of course, pressed charges, because I'm not only fighting for my own right for free speech, to be free from political violence, but also for the unborn children that will be murdered today, tomorrow, and the next, and other people that want to go out and just speak their mind. Not only pro-lifers, not only conservatives, but everybody has that right as an American.
Are you
And
afraid at all going out there now, especially what's happened in recent months with Charlie Kirk and also just attacks in general? I feel like we're seeing political violence on the rise on both sides, more so the left taking it out on us, but it is prevalent now. So when you go out on the streets, I saw that you were covering the No Kings protests. How do you approach this differently now? I know you said your husband is your security guard. Are you upping security? Are you armed? I mean, are you afraid?
yeah, so my husband is my cameraman, but when he needs to be, he's also my built-in security guard 24/7. But I do have security. I have a Give Send Go, givesendgo.com/Savannah Craven. It's a security fund. All the money goes toward hiring security so I can continue going out there and making these videos for people, and for just the movement. But it is necessary for me to go out with security because people not only recognize me at these protests, but they also recognize me just when I'm walking down the street.
Wow.
And a lot of the times it is positive, thankfully, but you can never take a chance after something like this.
No, absolutely. So after you pressed charges on your assailant, what happened? Was she arrested? What happened with Alvin Bragg and these soft on crime policies?
Yes, she was arrested about a week after the assault and, of course, let out, the morning after. And I met with the DAs and they told me, not very convincingly, that they were going to do everything they could to make sure that my case, went to trial. But they told me, it might not go to trial. I thought that was interesting. And I didn't hear much from them for quite a while until I was one day in July I was looking at my assailant's Instagram stories, as I have been for the past 6 months. And she said on there that all of her charges had been dropped. Thank you to my lawyers. And I had heard nothing from my DAs in probably weeks.
Whoa.
And I was shocked. I didn't even want to believe what I was reading. And I reached out to my DAs, and all of a sudden, my iMessages weren't delivering. I was just getting green bubbles. I called, told my lawyers at the Thomas More Society, amazing people. No response. Multiple emails, multiple phone calls, multiple attempts to contact them, silence.
Wow.
And so I concluded from that my case was deliberately sabotaged, because we find out very, very soon after this that they failed to file a certificate of readiness, or they didn't present the evidence that was needed. After I spent hours down at the DA office uploading this footage, telling them everything that I've gone through, showing the proof that she's shown no remorse for her action. She's gloating on social media about what she's done. And this is how they handle such a violent assault case like this. And the worst part is that the DA placed in charge of my case is not even a member of the New York bar, just a simple law school graduate.
Wow. This is shocking for many reasons. Wow. I mean, the fact that they just kind of ghosted you and didn't tell you this, and this just goes to show how dangerous these soft on crime policies are, because they let this woman go, and she's obviously violent. She can be driven to violence pretty easily just by conversation. So who knows what her history is, or if she's going to take this out on someone else in the future. Who knows? I hope not. But you can't even trust the DAs in New York City to have law-abiding citizens in their best interest. They seem like they just protect the criminals.
Absolutely. Look at what they do to Daniel Penny, a bystander who was saving the lives of innocent people on the train. But then they let my attacker walk free with all the video evidence, with her admitting to her crime, with showing no remorse for my crime. Alvin Bragg is okay with women being assaulted on the streets. It's disgusting.
It is disgusting. And you know what? I I used to live in New York City. I lived there for 7 years, but I'm from Long Island, and I have family who live in New York City and friends who live in New York City still. And the city has a very special place in my heart. When I say the city, like that's New York City to me. Growing up right outside of the city, it's the city, right? There is no other city. It's one of the greatest cities in the world. And I saw it really go downhill because I moved in 2016. And COVID just completely ruined the city. And I saw a lot of my friends moving out for different reasons. A lot of them just got married. They were moving into the suburbs and things like that. But during COVID, got very dark very quickly. There was always homeless problem. There was always drug problem. But I felt like COVID kind of exacerbated these things. And the defund the police movement certainly exacerbated these things. And, with Zohran Mamdani being the front runner in the New York City mayoral election, do you have any hope for people like you who they're facing something like this where they're assaulted in broad daylight and they're going to have to be subjected to the same treatment or worse because New York City is probably going to elect a mayor that doesn't believe in police at all?
Yeah, unfortunately, I believe that New York is going to fall, and I'm not trying to be negative. I'm trying to be real.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to take for people to get it. We have somebody who's about to become mayor who has stood next to people who think gays should not exist, that they should be arrested for being gay. He stood next to and smiled with every tooth in his mouth next to people who have been involved in terrorism in the past.
Right.
And he wants to decriminalize misdemeanors, which means assault cases like mine will continue to be dropped. People will continue to walk the streets freely that think it's okay to assault people. And women and children aren't going to be in danger. Nowhere is going to be safe.
Yeah, to your point about nowhere being safe, certainly New York City, it's a problem. But then we see stories like what happened to the Ukrainian refugee Irina Zarutska on the Charlotte light rail, where she wasn't even having a conversation with anyone. She's minding her own business. She's taking the light rail, and she was stabbed in the back of the neck, completely unprovoked, by a criminal that was released and put back in jail and then released. And, he just reoffended 14 times, and he had known mental health issues like schizophrenia. What needs to be done to the system to overhaul this? Because it's not just in blue states, it's all over the place. And we need to have the law-abiding citizens protected by the justice system and not just criminals.
Right. Well, we need to fire a lot of people. People need to start realizing that these individuals who allow these career criminals to continue harming people, continue murdering people, you could be next.
Yeah.
Okay? You could be next. It's not just conservatives that are on the target for these people. These people just want to harm anyone. This woman fled Ukraine. She fled crime and all of the war that's been going on there for multiple years now. Coming to America, she loved America, and we failed her. We failed her.
It's totally heartbreaking. And I saw you posted this video when you were covering another protest, and someone had recognized you, like we were talking about earlier, from your assault. And I just figured I should play this video so that people can see just how violent the left is. And, we're seeing it obviously with the crime, and then you see Democrat policies and they excuse crime. But then when you go out to these protests and you're really talking to the Democrat constituency, people who vote for Democrats, it makes total sense why they vote for people who are soft on crime. It enables their violence. It's this vicious cycle of people who want violence, they wish violence on people, and then they vote for Democrats who are totally fine with it. So let's play this video of this woman who was kind of gloating at the fact that you had been assaulted. Watch this.
What are they saying about me? Am I the what? Am I the one that what? They got punched? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was so satisfying to watch that.
Yeah? You like it when women get assaulted?
Well, if you're being ignorant, then yeah.
No,
I mean, you have to explain to me how, because I'm getting angry just watching that, and I'm not you. I wasn't the one punched in the face. I mean, what was your reaction in that moment?
Yeah, I just was wondering if this young lady has ever felt love from her parents or from siblings or from anyone. Because if you think it's satisfying to watch somebody be punched in the face for simply asking questions, you've lost your humanity. And this is the reality of so much of the left. I've asked multiple people on the left that I've seen at these protests out in public, ask if they condemn what happened to me, and they refuse to do so because it's funny to them. They have no facts, so they choose violence every single time.
Yeah, I was thinking about this because when I saw that video, I was disgusted. And I'm sure you've seen in recent weeks a lot of these leftists mocking Charlie Kirk's assassination. We saw even a Chicago, Illinois based teacher doing, making this motion. Another person, at a Turning Point USA table saying you're Nazis and things like that, watch your neck. I mean, these are things that are just so disgusting. And it made me think, do you think this hatred for the other side, to kind of bring this all together to the pro-life aspect of all of this, do you think that their hatred stems from them not believing that all life is precious?
Absolutely. These are the people who, of course, they don't believe in God. They believe that they are their own God, or that they serve some sort of, they're involved in astrology, and they've made up all of these things, and they don't see others as valuable. They don't see themselves as valuable. So how in the world could they see an unborn child who they're not actually able to see? They don't know them. They're not able to get to know them as valuable. And that's the reality of their thought process. And it's incredibly sad. I believe that it is a complete spiritual battle between these people, and the devil is winning, unfortunately, in many of these individuals.
Yeah. And you were telling me before this all started about how you got started in the industry, and you got connected with James O'Keefe and doing this undercover activism and things like that. And then you were also talking about your connection to Turning Point USA. So I wanted to talk to you about that and how that has influenced you, and kind of where the movement goes going forward. Because I see a lot, and maybe this is just my algorithm because I'm conservative, so I get more conservative things, right? I can name so many conservative influencers like you who go out and do man on the street interviews, and they're wonderful, right? And I can't ever really find that many on the left. Like, it feels like conservatives are kind of dominating this new media space. Aside from Harry Sisson and Chris Mowry and Olivia Juliana and Victoria Hammett, those are like the four that I can think of. I can't think of any leftist street interviews. Like, do you have any counterparts where there are people on the left who want to talk to the right? Is it because people on the right aren't out protesting, so they don't know where to find us to have these conversations? Or do they just not care about having a conversation with our side at all?
I do sometimes see this tall white guy going out to some of these Trump events and asking questions, trying to get gotcha moments. I cannot remember his name at the moment.
Okay, so they exist.
I would agree with you. Yes, there are some, but not as many on the right, I would say, because you got to come to them with facts. And one thing the left lacks is competence and facts.
Well, you certainly have the facts on your side. And I think if we learned anything from Charlie and Turning Point, it's that if you have the facts on your side, you could debate anyone. And a lot of us have our faith to lean back on as well. Like, we are really unstoppable and untouchable when you know that God has you, right? So how how hopeful do you feel for the future of the conservative movement, and how do we kind of keep this momentum going ahead of the midterms, but also into the future? What's your advice to maybe younger voices, newer voices that are just getting into this now, post Charlie Kirk's assassination, who might be afraid, they might be even more timid than you were when you just got into this movement? What would you say to those people?
I would say, if not you, then who? There's people who message me on the daily saying, I could never do what you do, Savannah. You're so brave. You go out there. And I said, I'm just like you. I'm a human being. I have feelings. I get tired. I get frustrated. But we are fighting for our children's children, right? And I don't want to have children that are born into a country like this, at the state that we are in, a country that I love so much is being taken over by anti-American ideas. We have to stand up for our country. We have to stand up for our Constitution. And if we don't, it'll cease to exist.
Absolutely. There's nothing more important than fighting for all of our ideals. So you are certainly leading the charge, and you're doing an amazing job, a wonderful job. I love cheering you on. I'm always liking your posts and things. So I'm so glad that we were able to have this conversation. Quickly before we end this, where can people find you? Where can they follow you? Where can they support you?
Thank you. My Instagram and my TikTok are at Savannah Antao. It's Antao. And my YouTube channel is Her Patriot Voice for long form content. You can turn it on, kick back with some popcorn, have some good laughs.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining this episode of Nightly Scroll. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
God bless. Well, there's a lot of evil in this world. There's a lot of violence, and, a lot of it stems from the left. But Savannah is certainly a breath of fresh air, and she's a very strong person. So we're lucky to have her on our side. I love all the work that she does. So please go follow her and support her. We need more people like her. So I'm so grateful that she was able to come on and have that conversation with me. And I'm glad for all of you for watching and sticking around. Thank you so much for spending your Friday evening with us. And I hope you enjoyed the interview. And I will see you right back here on Monday.